Good afternoon, High 10 George Realty. We're really thrilled to have Marie from Contempo Escrow here. This is such a hot topic on mobile homes, and people are, moving into mobile homes. And she was sharing with us that some of the victims of the horrendous fires had even bought while their homes are being rebuilt. So let's sit back and enjoy and learn how to sell mobile homes, or if you know how, I'm sure you'll pick up some good tips today. Okay, I'm going to turn it over to Marie and she's going to teach us all. Thank you.
I know. Michelle, we dim the lights a little bit to see us. What do you think?
Well, there's not going to be any sharing. She's just talking.
Hello, High 10. It's Marie with Contempo Escrow. I am here to share all this information with you, answer any questions you have. I would like to go over the real estate market and all of this, just so that we can all come together, get some education, so we can go out and figure out how to make your business more successful or add a whole second income to your business with mobile homes. So let's get started. The first thing I'm going to go over is how mobile homes work and how they differ from your real estate transactions. So the difference between mobile home and real estate, I was just saying a minute ago, they're the same, but they're different. So how you handle your mobile home contract is going to be pretty much the way you handle your sale transaction. Your purchase contract is the same. I've never done a purchase contract, but I have enough agents here who can tell me that I think the difference is there's a part in your contract where you click a box that says mobile home, and it will print out the mobile home addendum to the contract. Is that correct, Michelle?
Yeah,
That
it'll
is,
print out the addendum.
that is correct. So yes, so when you click that mobile home box, it'll print out your mobile home addendums. So you kind of have you handle your contract the exact same way that you do your real estate transaction, only you will check your box for the mobile home contract and all of the documents for mobile home will come out. Your inspections are the same. Your investigation periods are the same. One thing you want to make sure of, even if you're the listing agent and you have a buyer and you're not going to be the buyer representation, you want to make sure as a listing agent, your client immediately, the buyer immediately goes to that park and they get approved. There are some parks that are very easy and there are some parks that will make your life miserable. They're bad run, and sometimes their accountability for time and effort will not always arise to your needs. I just recently had a transaction. I won't say which park, but I had done park business with this park for many years, and somewhere along the way they changed the manager. Manager was new, not really familiar, and she refused to give me my closing for my demand, even though she'd given the client their park approval, which is my sign to be able to go. But she kept saying her corporate needed to confirm the final sale and give final information. Well, final information is my client had park approval. I have money in the escrow. My file is fully executed, and now you're holding up my escrow. My buyer and seller probably went about 4 days after the close of escrow, and she still would not sign off. And at some point, I sent her 3 emails saying, I'm going to give you to this date, and I'm going to close my transaction. I have loan approval. I have a park approval. I know what my fees are to buyer and seller. Should you not give me the approval on closing? She still never responded on all 3 emails. I physically called her and she kept saying, I'm trying to get it closed. I'm talking to my management. We're working on it. And never would call me back and never would close.
Marie, couldn't you sue them for a specific performance?
You could, but I kind of overrode her because I knew it. In real estate, it says one thing. In mobile homes, you have a little bit more freedom. So in this case scenario, I was able to override her in my decision because at my decision, she was damaging both seller and buyer.
Yeah.
So what I did is I sent her the 3 emails, which now I have documented. I've telephone called her several times, and then I documented it in my file. I had performance from my buyer and my seller, and I had a signed park approval from her. So what I did is I created an addendum for my buyer and seller that says all parties hereby agree and instruct escrow holder to close escrow. And I included that we had park approval, and I attached a copy of it. And I said, they authorized me to close. If any outstanding funds are due to that park, it will be handled outside of escrow between buyer and seller in the park. And then at the bottom of it, I put a whole harmless letter for the agent and myself. And I made my party sign it and I closed.
What may be the consequence?
No, what
for-
the worst case scenario in that case, there was money owed to the park that needed to be collected. But she had already told me that the seller had paid their rent for that month, so there wasn't any. She could have had fees that would have come to the buyer, but my addendum already covered that if there were any fees due, it would be handled outside of escrow between the seller and the buyer in the park.
What was reason? What was the reason? Did she mention what was the reason she refused to cooperate?
Okay.
Well, let me say, today is the 9th, 8th. I closed that transaction March 30th. I still haven't heard from her. No email, no call, no response.
Oh, okay.
And my agent represented, actually, my agent is,
What's her role?
she's the park manager.
So
Park
you
manager.
closed it and they bought them, or you canceled it?
No, I closed my escrow. Because my agent had a dual agency. And my agency,
Why we need the park manager's approval?
because that's who approves whether that buyer has been accepted into the park. So that's, I'm good, I kind of went a different way, but I'll come back to this. Once a seller and a buyer come to mutual agreement that they're going to go into contract, the first thing that buyer needs to do is go to the park to get approved. They have to get approved just like an apartment building or leasing when you're leasing an apartment or something. After. I would do it after because you don't know that you have to have a mutual, yeah, you have to have mutual cancellation in writing.
They already approved.
Yeah, in that case scenario, the park had already approved him in writing. Had the park not, if I didn't have it in writing, I would have never closed. But it was almost like she was holding that property hostage. Because again, 9 days later, yeah, over 9 days, I haven't heard from her at all.
What were you waiting for from her?
Well, what has to happen
You
is,
have to accept it, that's the thing, right?
what has to happen is when we do escrow, one of the things you do immediately is your buyer needs to get park approved. So they need to go to that park immediately because they have 14 business days
Yes.
to approve your application. So they're on a legal time frame. And as a listing agent, you need to be aware, you need to know that that agent has gone to that park and made that application so that it's not wasting your client's time.
So as a sales agent, you have to be assertive with that listing agent to make sure that that's happening, right?
Yeah, on both, and as a listing agent, you need to make sure
Who submitted the application? The buyers?
the buyer submits the application.
Oh, buyers.
It's just for me, I would always say to them, if you want to be good at this, you want to be proactive, don't ever assume that that buyer has done it because you will find that people do weird things and they don't.
But if she had, okay, but she was approved in the beginning.
She was approved
So
and
she had, so they couldn't block her from moving in.
that is correct. They gave the client a written approval. They gave my buyer written approval.
It was there, so the lady just didn't sign.
That is true. What happens is, for me as escrow, one of the rules is we require a park demand to close.
Mhm.
And what that park demand is, escrow sends that demand to escrow, and basically they tell me how much the seller is paying, how much the new buyer is gonna pay, when the seller pay their last payment, when the next payment's due,
Mhm.
and they tell me if there's any dues open for payment. She didn't complete that form. But I outsmarted her because I called her and I got the information and wrote it down.
You know, I look at that, she could have been wanting to hold that property for someone that she knew too.
It was in contract, so really she couldn't.
Well, you know, you have owners, people, not owners all the time, but you have people doing stuff like that. They have their
Agreed.
plans they want,
Agreed,
and somebody they won't accept the offer or anything on the property. Because
agreed,
they have somebody in mind that they want to have the property.
agreed. Because I don't know what would have been, I still to this day don't know what her issue was, because again, it's 9 days later and I still never got my demand on that file.
Walk us through what I know
I'm not talking about writing the contract, but
Mhm.
once they hit escrow, can you tell us what our agent should be doing step by step?
Sure.
So that we go through the right procedure?
Sure. I will always say, well, let's start here. When you write your contract, on your mobile home addendum to that contract, once you complete it, in the back of it, it's going to have a mobile home addendum. It's going to say a couple things. Down at the bottom of that form, it's going to say who pays for your HCD fees. It's always going to be both parties, unless you negotiate differently. Whether your seller pays all, buyer pays all. Otherwise, it should be mutual. The second question it's going to ask you, who's going to pay for the use tax? So let's talk about use tax. Use tax is mobile home is either on use tax or property tax. The way that was created is Department of Housing used to be DMV, if many of you don't know. It used to be DMV, and around 1979, DMV said, this is too much for us. Let's create a department. And when they did, around 1980, they created the Department of Community Development and Housing, and it governs mobile homes. That's who titles them, licenses them, everything. So it's a separate department. So to go back, you have two types of mobile home: a mobile home that's on use tax and a mobile home that's on property tax. Prior to 1980, all mobile homes are on use tax. And what use tax is, it's just sales tax. Like when you go to the grocery store and you pay taxes on those groceries, it's the same concept. The way that figure is derived and it's always paid by the buyer, because remember, buyer uses the tax. That's how you remember. When you talk about the value, buyer uses the tax. And how that's run is, even if, you have a mobile home that you're selling for $350,000, mobile homes are run on Blue Book. So when you get your Blue Book value of that mobile home, a $350,000 mobile home is only Blue Booked at $10,000, maybe.
Oh,
So when I open escrow on a use tax, I immediately contact the value department to mobile homes, and then they're going to give me a written value. And then I take that written value and times the sales tax for that city. So El Monte will be 10.25. So $10,000 point 10.25, whatever that number is, I charge that to my buyer.
instead of the sales price,
I charge by
based on the Blue Book.
That is correct.
value.
That is correct. It's Blue Book value. So that tax could be anywhere from 200 to 1,000, just depending on what that mobile home looks like. Now, that's use tax, and your buyer should always pay it unless you negotiate differently, but you really should let your buyer pay because they use the tax. Property taxes, Department of Housing would love to see all properties on property tax. I don't ever transfer a house automatically to property tax, ever, never, never, because if it's on use tax, I leave it that way. But property taxes came around 1981, and they started rotating all new homes on property tax. So it's automatic now, unless it's been on use tax. It won't convert unless
Either
somebody
one.
converts it.
It's either property tax or
Use tax. Correct. And property taxes run the same way that our property taxes, they come once a year. Only difference is for Department of Housing in the County of Los Angeles, or whatever tax office it is, the person that owns the property in January owns the taxes. Where
Say it again.
the person that owns the property in January owns the taxes.
Oh, okay.
So it's just like us. We get our property tax bills around July, August. Once the assessor has assessed in June, they get theirs around January. And then if the seller owns in January, but he goes in escrow, in May or June, the seller's still going to pay that first half because he owns it. And the second half, if it's leaped into that time frame, we just prorate that second half, but ultimately the buyer will pay that second half because it's theirs. And he'll credit our seller for whatever portion belongs to them.
Okay.
But ultimately, whoever owns in January owns those taxes.
Okay, but the use tax, the
Buyer pays.
but everything.
That is correct.
Okay.
That is
Okay.
correct. So back to Michelle to go in. So the first thing you want to do once you have your fully executed contract, most of you, I always suggest you contact me in the beginning. So that way, if you have questions about how to issue your contract or questions you need to know so that you don't mess up anything or you miss information. You want to know if that property is going to be on use tax or sales tax, and I'm going to tell you how you know. When you take a listing appointment, the first thing you always want to know is you want a copy of the registration or a duplicate title,
The registration of what?
or the duplicate title,
Okay.
or the title, not the duplicate, the actual title.
This, duplicate time.
So I'm going to refer you back to DMV. When you have your car, you have your registration in your glove compartment and you have the title once you pay it off in a safe place. It's the same thing. Those are your ownership papers, your registration for your vehicle, for the mobile home, and you have your actual title. 1 second. Give me one second. Let me, because I don't want to break my thought. Give me 1 second. So when you take your listing, you want to get a copy of either the registration or the title, because that title, I'm going to tell you a word. It's called decal. You want to know what a decal, D-E-C-A-L. You want to look for the decal number on that document. So if you look at your decal number and it begins with any alphabet, A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, K, L, that property is automatically on sales tax. You know it. When you look at it, you're going to look so smart because you're going to say, oh, your property's on sales tax.
If it starts off with letters.
Letters.
So,
If it starts off with L, any form of L, it's on property taxes. And that will tell you. And why that's important to you is when you go to write your contract and you look at that document and you know that that property is on sales tax, you're going to be so smart because you're going to go, well, if this property is on sales tax, you have to counter in your offer because Catherine's going to get an offer on her listing and that agent's going to say, let's close escrow in 10 days. Okay, well, Catherine's going to look at her documents from her buyer and say, or seller and say, well, we can't do that. And here's why. If you look at your document, your registration papers, and you have that decal that's on use tax based on A, B, C, D, E, F, G, you can close your transaction in 12 days to 14 days, depending on your park approval. But if Catherine looks at her document, she has a 14-day offer and it's property tax. Well, guess what? You can't close your transaction in 14 days because property taxes require me to get a conditional tax certification. And I have to get that through LA County. And there's a 15-day business day turnaround time frame. So you can't close your escrow feasibly in 15 days.
How many days do you?
I would always say put 30 days or less.
Oh.
Can I get it in 30 days or less?
Even that,
Doesn't matter. Does not matter.
I think it's too long.
Because with property taxes, you have to have a letter from the county saying what those taxes are.
takes at least 15 days.
That is correct.
Turn.
And they're in no hurry, trust me, promise, they're not. The only reason I have any advantage over there is because I've been here 30 years and all of those people know me. So if I came into a transaction and this buyer had to close and there was no choice and Tia needed to close it for any reason and she couldn't, I can make a phone call to the manager. And I'm going to get it because they just know me there. Most escrow officers won't be able to do that. I just have a rapport with those people. Do I do it often? No, but I can pull that card if I needed to. If it's an emergency, I don't do it often. But so you know that if that property's on property taxes, you're not going to close escrow for at least, I always say 30 days, 30 days or sooner. And normally I can close it in like 21.
How many days does a financing transaction take?
That's my next thing. That's my next conversation. Let me, because I'm going to, that requires a little bit more conversation. Let me answer your,
Is it registered with the DMV?
it's Department of Housing. Department,
Department of Vehicle.
no, that's gone since 1979. So it's Department of Community Housing Development.
Okay,
Now to come back to your question, because that was next on my list.
I jumped the gun.
That's okay. No, that's because it was next. So if you have a buy, because mobile homes, as we were speaking about it, and I want to reiterate some of that stuff, and you guys have already heard it, but I'm going to go back a little bit. I've been doing mobile homes for over 20 years, and when I started, mobile homes were about $8,000, and they got to be $10,000 and then $50,000. Well, mobile homes are well over $300,000. In some areas, they're $1 million. So the dynamics of mobile home sales have changed. So where most people were able to buy cash before, Many are not, and they now seek financing. So in a financing transaction, you have to wait at least 60 days to close your escrow. And the reason is, in traditional lending for real estate, you get your buyer and you tell them immediately you have what your contingency periods, you have to identify actually, you don't even accept an offer unless you have written approval from an agent that they're qualified and approved. Mobile homes are different. So when you get your contract, your buyer then goes to the lender and says, okay, Mr. Lender, I have a contract here and I need a loan. That lender, I'm not real sure, and one day maybe I'll care enough to find out from them they don't even start processing your application for 30 days. And let me now, yes. So they don't start even moving your application for at least 30 days. And it's not until 30 days that they even order your appraisal. And then once they get your appraisal, then they move forward to close. So real estate, if you have financing, never allow anyone to create a contract that's under 60 days because it's not going to happen. Now I'll go to you, Kathy.
Okay, they only have so many lenders for mobile homes too.
That is correct.
So, I remember it, what was it before, Francisco or some, I can't remember the name, because they were the only one.
Santiago.
Santiago,
Oh,
that's
yes.
it. They're the only, people that will finance stuff.
Santiago's still the number one.
And who else? Who else?
There is Santiago. Now, Human Credit Union has now come into the mobile home. And then there's another one who I can't think of the name of it. There's Santiago, there's 21st Mortgage.
Oh, okay.
21st, and mostly Santiago is the broker. So they kind of govern the mobile home world. So they become because you start with Santiago, and then Santiago based on credit will issue you out to the lender that qualifies. So it'll either be Century 21. I've seen Human Credit Union. I've seen Navy Federal. And just recently I run into at an event, I ran into some lenders that said they actually do mobile homes. So I think now, because it's getting so popular, more people are filtering into the lending for it.
Do buyer get a loan pre-approval letter beforehand, before making an offer?
Yes, I'm sure they do. Because I'm sure they do. Well, you know what? I don't always get a copy of the approval letter, but I don't know how you not have an appraisal and not have your application and things ran, how they give an approval letter.
Based on buyer's financial.
Maybe they do a credit report check. And now that I've asked that question, I'm going to go back and I'm going to go to one of my people from Santiago and I'm going to ask that question. What do you do for the 30 days that you're not doing anything on that application? I'm curious. And at the next meeting on Monday, I'm going to have an answer for all of you on that. Yep, on Monday, I'm going to, because I've seen it. I've always been told, we don't process for the first 30 days. Well, what do you do? Just sit with a pile of applications? Which doesn't make sense either. But I do know that they don't even do their appraisal for 30 days. And then they start their process. But
How do they appraise that? Do you know, Marie?
I'm sure it's based on sale comparables, condition. Yeah. Yeah, I'm sure it's the same.
And the loan amount still can be lower than 100,000?
Oh, a loan amount can be any amount based on, what the client. Yeah, well, I think it depends on interest rates and things of that nature. Just know that your interest rate on a mobile home are going to be far different than the rates on a real estate. They're going to be higher, for sure.
Usually, what are they going for right now?
Well, we're probably in the mid 6s on real estate, so probably 10, maybe 9 if you're real lucky. But I'd say an average of 9, between 9 and 10%. And if you have not good credit, probably 11. So it can get pretty expensive. And I think your down payment will be based on 1, how much money your client has for closing, and 2, how much of a payment they can afford if they need to put more money down to lower that payment. Catherine?
One more thing I want to ask you too.
Sure.
Tell you at least. When that last time I think I called you and I had gotten this person and wanted to sell a mobile home. You have to do comps on those mobile homes.
Absolutely, you do.
You have to do them.
Absolutely.
And the comps that for the one that I was thinking about selling was in Sylmar. And it was 2 listing up in that area. But it really shocked me that you had to actually do comps for them.
And I'm going to ask you a question to educate me because I'm not on the real estate side. So when you had to do comps in that, you had to do them in the mobile home because you couldn't do them out of that mobile home. You have to go within a radius of
With the
X
radius
amount.
of that mobile home.
So I imagine, and maybe I'm right, maybe I'm wrong, but I'm going to ask you, all of you as experts, when you do comps on a mobile home, I imagine your values are up and down because you can have this mobile home.
They already gonna find that like that, there was a probate
Mm,
and it was being sold. They already had the price. But when they did the actual thing, they had, I don't know how I did it, but anyway, it was in Silmar where I had to go and find out the comps for it.
okay.
And I think they weren't too far from Silmar, but they wanted me to go to Silmar and look at those mobile homes in that area. So,
Well, yeah, because you have to have the comparables, but my train of thought is, I'll just use my my Delview. My price points in Delview can be up and down because as I said earlier, if you have some mobile homes that somebody's lived in them 50 years and they die and then that mobile home has never had anything done to it, well, now we can only sell this mobile home for 180.
Mhm.
Whereas this person over here has a Supreme mobile home and they're selling it for 350. So when I comp out, how do you compare that 150 property to that 350? Are your comps all
Adjustment,
okay?
well.
Price adjustment, I imagine. Imagine because the prices are going to be all over.
so the
Condition
condition.
Yeah.
adjustment,
So,
yeah.
Okay.
So what's the maximum for investment? How many mobile homes
What do you mean?
for investment?
Oh, for investment purposes?
Yeah.
A park is not going to let an investor in. Most won't.
No.
I've tried. Trust me,
Yeah.
I've tried.
I
They
heard
won't.
that.
You'll get very few parks that'll do it. I mean, it's a 1%. Because I've tried and they won't let you do it. Like you may find one park that'll let you do it. I had one park that would allow an investor. This young man was buying the park because he owned a car wash in the area
Oh,
and he was going to let his employees sleep in his house.
oh,
And his transaction got midway, or maybe that transaction it closed because he said he was going to be the primary resident on that house. It closed, and I later got a call from the park saying he was allowing his employees to sleep in the house. Didn't have anything to do with me. My escrow is closed, but it caused for violation of his lease.
oh,
yeah.
Now, I don't know how legality that works. You violated your lease, but you own the property. I imagine they would have to sue him
Yes.
to go
Yeah,
through that.
Things like that, they'll ask you, are you gonna be the person that's living?
And he said yes.
And he said yes.
Yes,
And
ma'am.
come to find out, he wasn't, and they saw the people going in there.
That is correct.
That's.
So you
And
can
that's
rent, if you
broken.
buy something, you want to invest in a mobile home, you say, you can't rent it?
You'd have to get a park approval. That person has to be park
he
approved.
probably didn't rent it, he just
Didn't
let
sell
it.
it.
That's exactly what he did. And his caveat to it was, well, I do sleep there. I do live there. I am in and out. I do, but I let all my employees come in and out too.
Right.
I never got any further in that. I'm sure the park probably tried to evict him or sue him.
Penalized.
Oh, I'm sure. If they didn't, I mean, I'm sure they would have to sue him to get him out. But at the end of the day, he owns the property, so I don't know how you would sue
Well,
on something.
you can turn around the sell the property.
Well, he still has it.
Okay, then no problem.
Yeah, he still has
So
it.
Marie, say for instance, that happened,
Hmm.
they want to get rid of him, can he move his mobile home from that park?
Yes, he can.
So he owns that, but he has to have the lease for always.
That's correct. Well, no, the lease is for the term of the time that he's in that park. Yes, ma'am.
What's the average commission we should charge?
That's a really good question. I have seen it change dramatically.
Yeah.
Dramatically.
So
I have one agent, I always say many of you will know her because she's very vibrant in this community. She charges about $17,000 for mobile homes.
I'm sorry,
About 17,000, because she'll represent both sides.
17,000.
She goes up to her commission.
Not based on the percentage.
No, she doesn't go on
No,
percentage. She does a flat rate.
Yeah.
Now, I don't tell you all to go do that. She has the higher end stuff. but they're no longer using percentages. They're
Oh.
just using flat rates.
Oh,
And as long as your buyer and sell, as long as your listing agent or your listing broker office and that seller agreed to that amount, they don't care. No
oh.
one governs that. It's what's mutually agreed upon.
Mhm.
As long as it's not,
17,000 for what kind of price?
that price on that mobile home was about $390.
390.
And she represented both
So-
sides.
When she had both ends of it.
hmm
So-
That's kind of her specialty.
so
I'll tell you, she's a mogul in the real estate world. She sells millions of dollars real estate. But I always say it's her second job is mobile homes because she commands,
She
she specializes
Yeah.
in that. So she has two jobs. It's two jobs. And that's what I tell all of you as well. Go out and get a second job. That's what these mobile homes are. Parks, walk your parks because it's the only place. It's kind of like you're farming with real estate. You go out and you walk your neighborhoods. So go out and work your parks. You know, a lot of times if you do it on Saturdays, people are out watering, they're, talking to each other and, you go in and you meet people.
Do they allow you to walk in?
Some will, some won't. Some will, some won't. A lot of them will. Some, yeah, because it's free space, but some, you have some policers that'll say you can't do it.
Right.
And you say, well, okay, if I can't do it, well, can I make an appointment and then go do it? It's nothing, try again, try again and see what gets you into that part. But I think if they say, no, you can't do that today, say, okay, well, can I make an appointment and do it next week? I just want to leave flyers or whatever it is you want to leave.
Some of those parks are beautiful too.
Delview is one of them, the one that it's not called, I was saying Monrovia Park, it's Huntington Park is what that name of that one on Foothill. It's
okay.
Huntington Park. That's a beautiful one.
It's a Delview.
Delview is right in back of Sam's Club in El Monte.
They'll
That's a
sound
good
like
one.
a mental institution.
It's a great one. It's a lot of Asian community and it's a 65 and over park. So it's it's a very popular
What's the
park.
average price there?
Depending on the mobile home, so they can go for 180 in that neighborhood all the way up to, they're going to hit 400 in that community very soon. Because I think my last one was 390. So I imagine I'm going to start seeing over 400 in that community. And that's been in the last 15 years, roughly, that price has increased to that capacity. So any other questions before I move on?
So Marie, mobile homes are turning faster than what residential?
Yes and no. So Michelle said in the beginning, and I told many of you before, when we had the Eden fires, a lot of our clients had money and they bought mobile homes
Right.
to live in while their homes are being rebuilt. And my question to some of them is, what are you going to do with that mobile home when it's done? And they said, we're going to let our kids live in it.
Oh.
Or, maybe at that point we'll sell. But because mobile homes are valuing so much higher now, literally you could probably turn a profit on it in 2 or 3 years or however it likes to take however it takes long for you to build your property. So, well, go live in the mobile home and then you take your time, you're not stressed, let your home be built. If they give you a hard time, so what? You have a house to live in, and maybe in 3 years your home is built and maybe you've made an extra $40,000-$50,000 in that time frame or $40,000 in 3 years. I think that's a great profit for 3 years. And then maybe at that point you sell it. And then, you'll make that equity that you put back into your bank account at that point. But it was a large influx of purchases from those Eden fires because people just did not want to go to motels or hotels or, things of that nature. So, you're starting to see a lot of mobile homes being purchased, for family members or for aging parents or when parents are dying. Mostly you're seeing when parents are passing away, the young folks don't want the mobile homes. They don't want them. The kids, they have their own lives, so they sell. So you'll see a lot of that turnover as well. Yes, Tim.
Are mobile home considered as a real estate or
Personal property.
personal home?
Yes, personal property. Okay.
So everything is go by personal property.
That is correct. It's all treated as personal property. And a fun fact for all of you, I had a client call and say, my client wants to sell their mobile home, but they're on Social Security and they're afraid that they had a problem with Social Security and Social Security put a lien on them. So they were afraid that when they sold the mobile home, that Social Security was going to come after them for all that money because they were going to put a lien because it's a debt. But fun fact about mobile homes, you can't put any debt on a mobile home. You can't. It's like your car. Can I put a medical bill on your car? Can I put a lawsuit on your car? No, you can't. So just fun fact, if your clients say, oh, I want to list my property, but I'm scared I have a lien. Can't put a lien on a mobile home. The only liens that are able to come on mobile homes are loans for the mobile home. They're on your title, so they are the primary owner of that vehicle, that mobile home until you pay it off. So the only liens that can go on a mobile home are the lien holders. That's it.
That's a good news.
Yeah. So I'm going to open the floor for questions toward the end, but I kind of want to talk about the real estate market a little bit. What I'm starting to see is we had went away from investors for a while because there was nothing to invest with. When COVID came, we had investors, and then the market for that just went away. But it's back like crazy now. The investors are buying up everything. And most of my transactions right now are just investors. Now we don't have the federal government has moved away from FinCEN, as you all know, it's on hold. So we are really seeing, I just heard an agent say the other day, let's hurry up and get this transaction closed before FinCEN comes back.
Before which?
FinCEN. Let's get it closed before FinCEN gets back.
Because that's what it's really attacking more.
In the investors, 100%.
That's what
100%.
is attacking. So they know what to do.
So they are on me, like, believe it or not, to get these transactions closed before that opens back up again. And what I say to you guys as listing agents, if you have a listing, one of the things I want you to be aware of, and it's my funny saying, it's called bait and switch. That's all the investors are doing is baiting and switching right now. They're going to write you a 15-day cash contract, all cash, 15 days, we're ready to rock and roll. You pick them, they put in their earnest money deposit, they do their investigations, and then guess what? Escrow gets an email from a lender.
They do what?
An email from a lender saying there's going to be a loan on the property. And you're already in contract, what are you going to do? You can say, well, you violated your contract, that wasn't in our contract, you wrote it all cash, but are you really going to cancel your transaction and start again and take any risk that comes with going and finding a new buyer? You're not. So most agents are locked into that, having to accept this loan. Now, most of them will say, oh, don't worry, it's hard money lending. Well, hard money lending can mean a lot of things. Hard money lending means, a lot of some investors, I'm not going to say a lot, some investors have lines of credit. If they're good ones with great credit and great values, and they've established themselves, they have lines of credit for $2 and $3 million. So, okay, well, they're going to take that line of credit and they're going to sign some documents and we can close in 15 days. That's fine. But most are not that way. They start off saying they're hard money lenders and then they end up being a full doc. I have one that did it today. All cash. We've been in escrow. Actually, this transaction canceled the first time around. So it's two separate properties, but they're same owner, same street, but they're fourplexes each. And we were in escrow with a buyer and we were in escrow for 3 weeks and then they canceled, but we canceled that escrow. And then we went in with this new buyer. We've been in escrow for 2.5 weeks and they're just letting us know that they're going to go to hard money financing.
Hard money.
Hard money loans mean they can get it quickly. They're not going to traditional financing.
Right.
They're going through, somebody that does particular types of financing.
And the interest is really high.
It's really high.
On hard money.
And they're mostly for short term.
Yeah.
Like I just did one, and this lender was actually phenomenal for one of the 5 properties in, the Eaton, in Altadena. And they were able to turn it around in like 20 days, but this lender was phenomenal, 20 days for their financing.
Yeah,
But,
it's a short term. How long?
well, if they can get it right, 15 days, but you don't see a whole lot of that.
No, how long is the loan for, the term?
Oh, this particular one was 18 months,
I
18 months,
They bought the money
6
from-
months.
Yeah. that's-
Most of them won't even go past 12, but this particular one did 18.
I closed a hard money loan, escrow within 3 days.
Really?
We closed 3 days.
That's unheard of. But that's unheard of, number one. But I guarantee you, your lender, whoever that lender was the same situation I spoke about in the beginning. They probably had a line of credit because they're probably established. So they probably had a line of credit just sitting and waiting. And all they had to do was do the paperwork to complete the transaction. And it was they probably signed, 30 papers and that loan was done. In that case scenario, I guarantee you they had an approved line of credit. So that's a fun fact. I want you guys to just kind of seek when you see these all cash offers, especially if you know it's an entity, you got to do some digging. Say, is there any possibility your client's going to do financing, and let's disclose it now so we kind of know what we're looking at. Or, so that you can inform your sellers. There could be some time delays, that it won't be 15 days, because you don't want to be in a situation where, your seller has to move. There's something on the table that says, well, in some cases where you have a seller that has a moving truck coming on the 20th because you told them you were going to close escrow on the 10th. They have a moving truck. They've put a down payment on it. They have a moving company, only to find out that's not going to happen. And a lot of times they could lose their deposits because they've sealed that date with that deposit and they can't move it unless they pay a different price. So you kind of always want to be ahead of these investors, all cash, so that, you have the right insight as to when you're actually going to close. So I think we have about 15
But
minutes.
you know what, Marie, only thing we have to go by is when they show us those papers showing how much money they have.
That is correct.
Approved. And they're hard, some of them hard to even find out whether this person is located to verify this. You see what I'm saying?
Right. And I think the market has gotten a little, I'll use the word grimy to some extent. Most of those investors, when I hear my listing agents speak about their offers, they're getting 10 and 15 offers. And I think some agents that they're on the buyer side, they've mastered those contracts. So they write the prettiest story they can tell. So when you're going through your offers, all cash, 15 days, we remove our contingencies, no loan appraisal values. They do all of those things to make their contract the best. And then when they get it and they're in contract, deposits are in, everything changes. Now, do they still have no loan contingencies and no appraisal? Those things all still matter, but it's the chance that they take with that. They still write those offers to make sure that they get accepted. And then once they're in, they change your terms. Like I said, you're not going to say, okay, you change your terms, I'm going to cancel your contract and let's go get another buyer. You risk your property value going down. You risk a lot of things. So you move forward as is.
A lot of times they need extension.
You
The seller
absolutely
can
need an
refuse that.
extension. It's their right to do so.
Yeah.
So,
And that's when they're going to apply for a loan.
for sure, for sure, for sure. So we have less than 15 minutes left. I'm going to open up the floor to any questions. And then, in your real estate or mobile homes, if you have any questions, feel free to ask those questions.
Yeah.
Sure.
So if you to qualify for the loan for the park.
Not for the loan, for just park approval.
Just the park approval. Do you have to make 3 times the income of what they're charging?
Yes.
That's, yeah.
It's same as a regular apartment.
I didn't hear what
You
you
have-
said, and I didn't hear what she said.
She said, when you go for park application, do you have to make 3 times the rent? Yes.
Or the same in the home.
It's the same.
You gotta make what, 3,000
Yes.
a month?
So the rent, what do you mean?
3 times the rent. So if the rent,
Occupied. Where
Well,
the
if the
rent
owner,
come from?
when the buyer applies to the park for approval,
Mm.
one of the things for qualifying is they have to make 3 times the rent.
Yes.
So if the rent is $800, they have to make at least $2,400 a month.
But who decide the rent?
The park.
Oh,
That's just like when you're buying a house, it's got to
I
be
see.
3 times or 4 times enough.
Right.
Your income has to be 3 times or 4 times enough.
And they want good credit. They want excellent credit, actually. They want great credit.
That's what it is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It'd be good if you buy the mobile home cash, but then you gotta.
3 times of your payment.
I don't think that even matters. If you buy a cash, you still have
I'm
to.
saying that way you don't make your mortgage payment on top of
Oh, that is correct. Yeah, that's correct.
3 times of the payment.
Yeah,
not
but
the
you have to,
3 times.
even if you pay all cash, you still have to qualify and you have to make 3 times the amount of payment of the rent to qualify. That's one of your qualifying.
But the parks, the 2 times I sold, I don't know if this is true, other than your horror story, but they're pretty good about working with you if they see you're a serious agent and you're really trying hard.
Most,
And giving
most.
all the documents and helping your buyer along.
most.
Yeah.
In all my years, I've never seen anything. I mean, I've seen some bad parks, but never, I would almost go out on a limb and say she was detrimental to the transaction because she was being, really detrimental to the buyer and the seller. The seller, the caveat to the seller came in to the park required some repairs to close. And the seller lived in Texas. Her and her husband had to drive to California
Oh, gosh.
and go do all the repairs. And their intent was, okay, once all the repairs are done, we're going to pick up our escrow check and then we're going to head home. Well, these sellers were tied to California and the husband ran out of medication. He had to drive because she was damaging to the sellers because she would not give the authority to close. And so my sellers literally just had to sit in California because she wouldn't close it. And that's when I was like, okay, this is now causing everybody damages. My buyer couldn't move, seller's husband was sick. So I made a judgment to close, a comfortable judgment to close because she was just being outrageous. So do I do that on a normal? No. But in this case scenario, we were in a place we needed to close. So does anybody have any further questions about anything we have going on?
I have a question. Can you help me?
Sure.
Yeah, so what will happen if one day the park said, oh, we are going to use the land for another usage, and then they let all the mobile home find another place to sit in. Will this happen? Yeah.
Let me make sure I'm understanding you saying what happens if one day the mobile home park owner decides they want to move, they want to sell the property?
Yeah, they want to
They want to
either
sell the
sell
land.
the property and the new owner have other thoughts about how to use the land, and they let all the mobile home change location.
Okay. I've actually had that happen. So in Pomona, matter of fact, this particular park owner sold 2 mobile homes, one in Pomona, and I can't remember, maybe it was like City of Industry. In their case scenario, it was more profitable for them to sell the property, and then the new owners kept all the mobile homes there. In that case, they rented this particular park, they have mobile homes, RV parking, and campers. They just it was wild, the things that went on in that park, but they allowed just leases to everyone. Now, in your case scenario where you say this owner's going to sell that land, I'm sure I've never seen that part of it happen, but what I would have to imagine is you'd have to go through normal protocol. They would have to give everyone a time frame to move their home.
Yeah.
And then they would undo it because they have licensing with Department of Housing and all of those different city entities. So they would have to cancel all of those and then move further. Because I know at one point, even a couple of years ago, they were speaking about, and I think Peter also mentioned it in a meeting, they were talking about just removing mobile homes and building apartment buildings because they're more valuable and they can obtain more money for them. But there's still a lot of parks out there. So you might have seen some of that, but I don't see a whole lot of that going on where the owners are moving away from mobile homes and building, apartment buildings. But I imagine to answer your question, they would sell the property, remove their connection to Department of Housing, give everybody significant notices, and people would have to move their mobile homes.
That is a scenario that I mean the mobile home owners just in a very bad situation. Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
that
in
would be a
very
bad
bad
situation.
situation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Especially if you were elderly and you've been in that park for 20, 30 years. That could be a huge problem because then you'd have to go find a park that had space to move your mobile home. And, if you're used to being in El Monte and you're older and you're stuck at, where you want to live and then you can't find anywhere,
Yeah.
that would be a huge problem.
And I don't know how much it costs to move those homes, but I would imagine it is not.
I imagine it's pricey.
It's very pricey because they got to take them apart and all those big, because I've seen them going down the road.
Right. And then you'd have to wonder, do they have to take all of their stuff out? I imagine they have to take all of
Oh,
their stuff out so it doesn't go flying.
Yeah.
So I imagine, yeah, I would agree. It's very pricey. Yes.
Make sure they got it all put on another foundation and everything.
Yeah.
All of it is good. So I imagine that would be a nightmare. So I've never seen one where they just said, I'm gonna, not have that usage to be the same. Most of them keep it the same when they buy it.
Right.
Which is
But there's. a
Take all the
project
leases.
That they did that.
Yeah, about 100, I think 100 units. Yes,
Wow.
It's a big project.
Yeah. So I
And
imagine
those-
some of them
those
did it.
parents Came out crying, asked for station, some they didn't want to move.
Yeah,
Yeah,
so
there's-
if you're
I
older and
know.
you've been there for 30 years and that's all you know, what do you do?
Sitting there fighting legally.
Yeah, and here's the other question. If you've been there 30 years and your rent is $300 or $400
Yeah.
and you have to move and now your rent is $1,200 and you're a senior citizen on a fixed income, what do you do?
Some lease is not allowed.
Yeah, it can be a scary thing. So, I think I have answered, unless there's any more questions out there. I am very thankful for your office always. I've been a part of this office for about 15 years now, guys. And I just want you to always know, if I don't always say it, I'm grateful for you guys. I'm grateful for the friendships that I have in this office. When I come in, everyone, some people that know me personally, they're asking about my kids and how I'm doing. So I want you to know, and I don't want to tear up because I'm a baby, you guys, and I will tear up, but I want you guys to know I love you. If I haven't said that, I've never said that, but I love you guys because it's just, Michelle and I have become good friends over the
Yeah.
years, Catherine and I, and I just, from the bottom of my heart, if you guys ever need anything, I'm always here for you guys. I'm always a phone call away. But any questions you have, if you need anything, like I say, I'm always here to help you grow your business. So have a great rest of your week and I'll see you guys on Monday.
Thank you. That was
You do the normal residential.
Oh, yeah.
Thank
Let me
you
get-
all for attending. Marie not only is expert on mobile homes, she does all kinds of real estate transactions, multi-unit, commercial, residential. So keep her in mind for all your needs. And I thank you for attending. And I know we all learned some stuff today. So thank you. And we'll see you on the Monday morning meeting. Goodbye, you all. Thank you for attending.
Thank you.